Okay. So how many of you are new here for today's event? Oh, that's great. Renee, could you please talk to them and make them members?
Oh, yes.
Or just get their credit card. It's only 30 cents a day. And so, anyway, for all those who are new here, it's our 5-minute. Okay. So I think so. We usually give you a little brief history about TiE, and Prashant and I have been. Actually, Prashant has been striving that we keep it short. So I will try my best today. Usually, it's Kiran Malhotra who is the executive director. She does that, but she had to leave early today. And by the way, my name is Naveen Bis. I'm the chair for programs at TiE. I'm a volunteer, and I'm on the board, just like our panelists here were volunteers, as well as Prashant, who is on the board as well, and chair for charter members. TiE was founded in 1992 by a group of entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs and senior executives from Indus Valley region or South Asian region, hence the name the Indus Entrepreneur. And Indus Entrepreneur, however, today it denotes, it signifies talent, ideas and enterprise. Since our founding in 1992, TiE has grown to over 57 chapters in 14 countries, all the way down under in Australia to in the northern parts in Sweden in Europe, UK, Germany, in almost major cities in North America and Canada and US, and India, Pakistan, and in Japan and all over. So which is really which is a great accomplishment for this organization, as it's very heavily run by volunteers like us, and a lot of them in the audience, even the folks who are registering you, they're all volunteers. So the TiE seeks to cultivate and nurture the ecosystem of entrepreneurship, as we believe that that's the biggest instrument for creating prosperity around the world. So that's what we believe in, and what we do is everything what we do in this organization is around fostering entrepreneurship. So there are a number of programs. Our flagship program is TiECon, which was held recently in May, and there will be another one next year. So how many of you have been to TiECon? Okay, great. So those who haven't been, I would encourage that next year you should definitely attend. It's really one of the very exciting and energizing event for aspiring entrepreneurs as well as entrepreneurs. And in fact, I've been to every TiECon since '94 when we had the first one. This happened. So, and I've always enjoyed. I mean, a lot of friends connect there, and a lot of programs like a boot camp for entrepreneurs. And then we have programs which are around various industry sectors. So we try to make sure that every few years we are keeping up with the trend for what entrepreneurs are doing. So like we have programs like social media, cloud, mobile, life sciences, and so these are all so that we hold a number of programs like and then some specialized ones like Growth Company Forum, Women's Forum. We had one a couple of days ago. There was a workshop for startups, cookbook, etc. And then we bring a lot of accomplished panelists from the industry, venture capitalists, etc. So just keep on lookout at our website, tiesv.org. And so, for a number of programs. In fact, I think there are a few of them coming in next week or after that in energy event and etc. And then, one more thing just to mention on TiECon, we were listed as one of the top 10 conferences in the world by Worth Magazine late last October-November issue, along with World Economic Forum and TED, which was a great accomplishment because that conference is organized by 300 to 400 volunteers. They start working on it since January, and so those of you who want to be volunteers also, please connect with us. And then some of the new programs, quickly I'll just tell you, which we launched a few years ago. One of them is TiE Angels, which is a platform for those who are looking for seed money. Any of you looking for seed money? Okay, great. And so you can go to our website, apply there, and also today, I'm sure I don't want to take the thrill out of Prashant, whoever wins will also be able to go in front of a screening committee. It's a 3-step process, quick. Go there, put your stuff, like exact summary, PowerPoint, etc. Everything is there. Then it's screened. Then if you're selected, about 8 companies are invited in to present for 15 minutes in front of a screening committee of 8-10 folks and experts. And then they select 3 companies, and every third Monday of every month, so we have a dinner meeting where about anywhere from 60 to 90, 100 angel investors come, so the companies present. Those who are selected, then they get funded. So on an average, since it was launched, I think about 1 company per month, so about 15 or 16 companies have been funded so far, and a number of them have gone to second, third round with VCs, etc. That's one. The second program we launched last year was My Story, which is basically any entrepreneur who has sold a company over 100 million plus in last 12 to 18 months, they come and share their story, because every entrepreneur is unique, kind of things they do. And so we had recently last week. We will have one next month, and I think usually we have it on first Tuesday, unless there is a holiday second or a little bit of shift around the date. So we have founderofcloud.com, which was bought by Citrix last year, is going to be there in July. And then August, September, we had someone, I don't know, some of you who are in gaming, Fungeo founder is going to be here, which is bought by me. And so, so that's another one. Then we have Pitchfest, was another new program, thanks to Prashant. He launched it last year. So these are the programs. Then in terms of constituency of TiE, we have charter members. Charter members are highly accomplished individuals, like who have been successful executives, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists. So we have a number of them in the audience. Can I see some hands, please? So I see Murali, he's on the stage. Also charter member Prashant himself. So please make sure you connect with them after the program is over. Then we have members. Membership is open, as I said, 30 cents a day. Go for it, those who are not members. And then we have any sponsors, like the names you were seeing early on, like SAP, Morgan Stanley, and all the venture capitalists and legal firms, those who support the ecosystem of entrepreneurship. And then the last one is volunteers itself. So anyway, so that's a brief story about TiE and what we do here. So with that, what I would like to do is introduce Prashant Shah, who is our chair as well as board member and chair for Pitchfest. And with that, let's give a big round of applause to our panelists who are here.
Thank you, Naveen. It's fine. We're good. So just a very quick change in the lineup here. I will let the panelists introduce themselves in just a second, but we have one modification besides the PowerPoint not working. Okay, we'll just let it run this way. Salil Deshpande from Bay Partners, he told me that he was going to be iffy whether he could make it this evening or not because he had an emergency business meeting, and he may still show up. If he does, we'll scoot him in as another person. But in the meantime, speaking of TiE Angels, we're fortunate that Murali Rangarajan in the middle over there, who is one of our prolific TiE Angel investors, was going to be in the audience anyway. So Murali, you got to come up here and help us out. And so for those who pitch, you'll get the benefit of having an investor out of the TiE Angels group taking a look at what you're doing as well. Anyway, so thank you everyone for coming this evening. Thank you to our panelists for joining us as well. One of the things that, first of all, let me ask you a question. For how many of you is this the first time you're at a TiE Pitchfest? Most of you. So most of you have not been to a TiE Pitchfest before. That's great. Hopefully you had a chance to check out the link when you did the registration page. We had a little extra information. But just to give you a quick overview, this event got started because at a lot of our events we see all this networking going on, which is fantastic. And a lot of it is entrepreneurs trying to meet investors. And we realized that when you kind of listen in on the conversations, they weren't as smooth as they could be. We said, we got to help fix that. So let's see if we can come up with an event to help entrepreneurs hone their elevator pitch, and that's exactly what this event is all about. It's to help the entrepreneurs give a very concise edition of their 2-minute story. And even if you don't get up on stage, hopefully there's enough learning that happens in the interaction between the investors and the folks who do give the pitch that the people in the audience can also get some key takeaways as well. Now, one of the other questions I always get is, well, are the investors giving feedback on the pitch or on the idea? And in reality, it's both. It's hard to pull those two apart. If you have a really good idea, but you can't communicate it well, then it never gets heard. And if you're a really good communicator, it can't overcome what's just effectively a bad idea. So you do need both, and you'll hear feedback from the audience, from the investors, that covers both angles. Another question I get all the time is, why don't you filter the entrepreneurs ahead of time? Well, again, this is not a funding event. This really is a practice event. It's for people to come up and try out their pitch and see how it plays. You're going to hear everything from people who have just an idea. They're still, sitting in that office at Oracle thinking about how the hell do I get out of here and start my own company, to people who are venture-funded companies. We've had venture-funded companies come up here and give presentations as well. So you'll see the gamut of, very early stage kinds of things to very late, polished types of executive summaries thrown out here as well. And TiE is always catered to the early stage first-time entrepreneurs, so everyone has to start somewhere, and this is a great place to do that. The format is there's a random draw. Hopefully everyone who wanted to be in that draw for the pitch has put in a business card. Is there anyone who hasn't? If you don't, just walk up here and drop in your business card while I keep going over the rest of this. It's a 2-minute talk, and I have a timer to enforce that. So when you get up here, just watch me in the corner over there, and you'll see the 2-minute clock run down. What's amazing is when there's an actual clock running down, no one ever runs out of time. It's only when the clock isn't there and you're talking to people that you realize you've been rambling for the last 10 minutes or so. No props, no notes, no cheat sheets. It's just a verbal communication. After your 2-minute pitch, I'll ask the investor, or rather the investors will ask the participant up here whatever questions they have in mind. So, a few minutes of clarifying questions and thoughts. And then after that, they're going to score the pitches themselves. And I'll come back to the scoring in just a second, but hold that thought. Once they've scored the pitch, then the panel will provide feedback. What were they thinking? Why did they score it the way they did, etc.? What could be improved? And at the time that they're giving that feedback, it really is just pure feedback. It's not a continuation of a dialogue. So I ask that whoever is up here presenting don't respond to that feedback. So if they say, well, I didn't really understand the competition. I know you have a tendency to jump in and say, well, here's why, here's what the competition is. Just hold off and just let them play the feedback. And then finally, as Naveen pointed out, at the end of the event, I'm going to ask the judges to put their heads together and choose what they thought was the best pitch of the evening. And that pitch, that entrepreneur, will be invited to one of our TiE Angel screening meetings in July. I always get this question of, well, what is a good pitch? There's not a formula per se, but that said, you should cover things like, what's your problem statement? What's the pain you're trying to solve? How do you solve it? Why is your solution better than anything else that's out there? And then a little bit about your team, if you have time, why are you the qualified entrepreneur to go do this? And how much money are you looking for? There may be other things that are very relevant that make your 2-minute story stand out. For example, if you've got a Nobel Prize winning economic person on your team, talk about that. If you've got revenue, talk about that. If you've got some killer technology where you've already gotten 5 patents issued or something like that, talk about that. So this is not a formula, but this is the kind of type of information that makes for an effective, quick 2-minute pitch. You want to be concise when you're up here. Get to the point right away. Get to the point early, by the way. So talk about the pain you're solving and how you do it as part of the first minute of your pitch rather than the second minute. Avoid buzzwords. These guys have heard everything. So, cloud-based, location-based, blah, 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 social marketing, blah, blah. Just tell them what you do. We help people find good restaurants, or we reduce data center expenses by 50%, or whatever it is. If during the Q&A stage, when they ask you questions, answer those directly. So, for example, if they say, what was your revenue last year? Don't hem and haw. Say, well, our revenue last year was X. Even if it was 0, that's okay. Then offer the explanation. It was 0, but this year we expect to do 2 million. The goal in an elevator pitch is to get a meeting, not a check. There are a few investors like Ron Conway and a few others who will actually write a check on the spot after an elevator pitch, but these aren't those guys. At least I don't think they are. Okay, there you go. So what you really want to hope for is that you've engaged them enough for them to say, I want to learn more. Let's set up a meeting and follow up. And in fact, going back to what I was saying earlier about the scoring, the 3 scores that they will give you is, the best one is this one. Call me, let's set up a meeting. Email me, So maybe I'll maybe it's a non-committal answer. I'm hoping they don't use it as much. Or no thanks, it's not a good fit. And this, by the way, as an entrepreneur, is a perfectly fine answer because it gives you clarity and it avoids having you to waste your time trying to chase down people who aren't really interested in what you're doing. I mean, the classic example is you've got something in social marketing, but the investor only puts money into semiconductors or something like that. I mean, you want to know that right away. So that's kind of the ground rules. Any questions on any of that? Okay. If not, I'm going to ask Steve, why don't you start and just quick background and on you and Onset, and we'll go down the aisle and we'll get started.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Bernardus. I'm with Onset Ventures. Onset is an early stage venture firm in Menlo Park. We've been around 28 years. We're currently investing out of Onset 6. Our focus is primarily Series A investing. We invest both in IT and in medical device, with a weighting roughly 2/3 towards IT and 1/3 towards medical device, and I personally am on the IT side of the house. Within IT, we tend to be focused a little bit more on enterprise, both infrastructure and application, and have kind of a de-emphasis on direct-to-consumer. That being said, given what the market is, we tend to look and see a lot of the internet deals, but it just isn't our primary focus.
Hi, my name is Murali Rangarajan. As he said, I'm pitching in today, but in general, I've been a board member at TiE, a long-time charter member, and professionally, I've been more of an operating person than an angel investor or a VC. Though for the last 2 years or so, since the angel investment group has been formed at TiE, I've been very involved in it and have found some investments of quite a bit of interest. My domain expertise is in areas like technology, healthcare, and in technology, in cloud, and storage are the two primary areas I've been with. In healthcare, unlike him, I'm not doing devices. I'm doing, though, healthcare IT, and also have been involved with mobility quite a bit. So those are the three areas. But I'm going to be listening to see how you'll actually scale, what the execution risks look like.
Venu Pemaraju. I'm an investment manager in Intel Capital. I've been at Intel Capital for 12 plus years now. And my focus areas are mobile software, and prior to this I did investments in semiconductors, computer hardware, and enterprise software. And for those who just want a 30-second primer on Intel Capital, we are a global organization. We have about 70 investment managers investing across the globe. We invest about $400 to $500 million in a year across the globe, and we are stage agnostic, but that doesn't mean that I do seed stage. I'm not a seed stage investor. That said, one of the things that I just wanted to modify a little bit of what Prashant said. So basically for this event, I'm putting on two hats. One is investor hat, as in I'm sitting here and giving you feedback, and the other is Intel Capital. So when I say call me, it's not call me because Intel Capital wants to invest, it's because I think your idea is good, and if I were a seed stage investor, I would definitely like to follow up with you. So I don't want to be the bad guy and saying every time, thanks, but don't call me. I'm not an antisocial guy. But from a professional side, I don't do seed stage investments. So that's how you should take it. Okay?
I mean, I heard all the antisocial guys lose their hair early.
I lost my shirt too.
That's you and me, because you have to look over to your left. All right, good. So let's get started. Why don't you pick the first name out of the jar here?
It's Kapil Talwarkar, Green Duck.
All right, let's be in the front row.
You want me to just go on this?
That'd be great, yeah.
All right.
If you could stay, actually it's very hard for the audience to hear, so if you could stay by the microphone, that would be great. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Imagine you're standing in front of your Nissan Leaf. It's 6:30 a.m. You're standing in front of your Nissan Leaf or any other electrical vehicle, and you realize you forgot to charge it last night. Of crap. Okay? Now you're going to probably have to ask your significant other to drop you off to work or call a cab. Now imagine a similar scenario, except this time you have Green Dot's automated charger already installed in your garage. This time when you wake up next morning, your car is already ready for you. No worries about plugging it in last night. Now, in this growing world of technology, it's obvious that maximizing user satisfaction is the best way for America to wrap our heads around this concept of adopting electrical vehicles. That's where Green Dot Transportation comes in. Green Dot has developed the first conductive, hands-free charging solution for EVs and plug-in electrical vehicles. It seamlessly connects your vehicle battery to the power supply while you walk away from the car. No different than parking your gasoline car at home. Now, the industry is right now trying to develop a inductive car charging solution, but there are several drawbacks to that in terms of efficiency and safety. Well, first of all, it has all these stray magnetic fields going on, so you're losing 10 to 25% of energy in the atmosphere. Not to mention safety, because of all these stray magnetic fields, you have pets being harmed, and not to mention if people have pacemakers, they're also at jeopardy. Also, if you have different structural components in your garage, those are at jeopardy as well. Our conductive charging solution has zero magnetic fields, is more than 99% efficient, has been tested under dirt, snow, rain, and fits in the palm of your hand. And boy, have we patented it. So this is where you guys come in. And maybe you can help us out. Thanks.
I'll let you guys fire off questions. Steve?
So how do you plan to get distribution for your solution?
Good question. First of all, we're still in the prototype phase. So we're talking to companies like Google, who have a bunch of fleets of electrical vehicles for their employees that they have. So we're trying to, go into that market right now. Also connecting with car manufacturers like Tesla, Chevy for their Volt, and Nissan for their Leaf, as well as our kind of I wouldn't want to say backup plan, but as well as launching it in Best Buy directly to the hands of the consumers.
So, given that you want to distribute like that, you must have contacts at these companies or know people. So tell us about you and the team, because that is a very crucial part of an enterprise like this.
Okay, good question. Actually, the senior developer for this technology actually right now is sitting right there. His name is Satyajit Patpradhan. He's actually an ex-Stanford researcher. He's worked at Stanford for the longest time and left to pursue this endeavor as a change of heart, wanted to do this. And he has contacts that we're trying to pursue through Google and Tesla and Fisker for that.
And the rest of the team?
Well, the rest of the team, we have the analytical component in which they pull up the numbers as to what our estimated net income is going to be by 2020, and our statistical analysis team as well. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
It doesn't. Who is actually on the team? The names and what their background is?
Oh, okay, sorry. Satyajit Patpradhan, as I said, he's the head. I am the marketing lead. I am a graduate of USC Marshall School of Business, so this is my current project that's happening.
What do you see as your timeline to go from where you are, which you said you are in the prototype building phase, to the point where you can get something in the hands of either customers or car, whoever, retailers or whatever?
Well,
what do you see?
Good question. Within the next few weeks to the next month, we're trying to test it out into Google and have a field testing happening. And then maybe in the next 2 to 3 months is when we're going to actually have discussions with people in Detroit, where Chevy, Tesla, and Nissan in that regard.
When you think about the capital required to get to that milestone where maybe you've gotten a couple of the large automotive manufacturers interested, how much capital does it take to pilot and get some proof?
That's a good question. I mean, in terms of budget and stuff, I'll have to get back to you in that regard.
Great. You guys ready to score of this presentation? All right. So we got 1, 2, 3. Email me, no thanks, and no thanks.
But I will say, email me because I have domain expertise in that field,
Yeah.
but not further than that.
Okay.
There you go. So get his business card after you're done here. So,
All right,
so
thank
Venu,
you.
you said email me? What's the rationale there?
You know, I think it's a good problem to solve, but I think, you know, the answers that we got were not satisfactory. So I think there's a lot of work to be done in refining and indicating how you're going to get to what you want to do. I mean, we all understand the problem statement, but I don't think the presentation was compelling enough in terms of addressing how much would it cost, how would you distribute it, what's the scalability. So I think there's work to be done, but from an idea and a problem statement perspective, I think it's a good problem to solve.
And Murali, you said no thanks.
I didn't get a clear answer to the team, or if I did, it was not satisfactory for a company like this. It's a very complex project, huge amount of capital, very difficult distribution problem. In the auto industry, where I've spent many years, very difficult industry to penetrate. So unless somebody's doing you a favor, this isn't going to happen.
Steve, thoughts?
Morale, well, first, your example, your use case resonated immediately. So you're very efficient in your use of time in terms of identifying the problem and the pain that you're solving and what you're doing to solve it, at least at a high general level. But I come back to both of the points that Morale came up with, which is distribution is going to be a challenge in this space. It's a high capital requirement space. So you really need to be able to provide it in a very compelling and authoritative, credible way that you understand what the market, what the dynamics are around this market and how you would be able to actually succeed given the pretty daunting dynamics in that market.
I want to add one more thing. When you presented, you were very good in the first 15 seconds. It went really downhill after that.
Right.
Elaborate on that. Why was it down?
Because the value proposition was clear. It was immediately apparent what you were trying to do, and it was very compelling.
Okay.
But after that, there was nothing else. You just kept elaborating around that point. I didn't hear anything else about the business model.
Okay.
So he could have really used his time a little more wisely after he got to the point earlier. Good.
You know, the other thing is, you know, when companies like this are very technically or technologically focused, you have to emphasize the team. Because ultimately you're investing in the team to be able to address technological issues that will come up regardless of what you think today. And so therefore you are investing in the team for such highly technical projects.
Okay.
So that's something that you should think about.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Don't try to read them. That's okay, good.
This is Plug and Play Will Farino.
I'm not pitching a company yet.
Okay, well, that went away then. Did you want to give that card to somebody else?
I'll come up and talk about plug and play.
I think everyone knows about Plug and Play.
This is Abita Padmanabhan, I think.
There we go. It is a front row thing. Just get off that table.
That's a lucky table.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Oh, you started already?
Just set it for you.
Okay. Well, most small businesses, and specifically small businesses nowadays, think they have to be in the social media world, they have to have the web presence in order to grow their business. And since the smaller businesses, they don't have any resources or knowledge about how to do that, they end up spending a lot of time or resources or money trying to do that. But really what they're looking for is not their presence, they're looking for more clients. And they're underutilizing their most valuable asset, which is their existing clients. Now these existing clients, they are very happy to refer the business, but they just don't know where, how, they don't have the time, and what's the value in it for them. We are Six Creeks. What we try to do is we transform the existing client base and make them the ambassadors for their businesses that they use, and thereby without actually having to write even a single review or comment. We do this by formalizing and systemizing the relationship between a provider and client and allowing for this positive relationship to be shared with or be discovered by their social network. So it kind of works both ways. And this is, so when we do this, the consumer can find the provider. Unless 90% of people will use a provider that has been referred by a friend or family or someone they know versus a Yelp type review. So when you use this kind of an ecosystem where the provider generates more leads because of greater visibility of their network, as well as the consumer can find a more, the providers used by their friends and family, it works for both sides, and that's essentially our overall value proposition. Now, we've done some alpha testing. We are in a.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Gentlemen, questions?
I didn't hear about the team.
Okay. The team is Hodelios and I are the co-founders. Hodelios is a Stanford graduate, and he's in the business side. I have over 15 years of experience in the technology side. We have an advisor who's an angel investor also. We also have an advisor who's a viral marketing expert, since we recognize that one of our challenges is going to be how do we get the viral marketing, thing. And we're talking to a few people. We're looking for an expert in the local space, like someone from Yelp or Insider Pages or someone like that. We're talking to a few people. We have a small development team of 1 or 2 contractors in India, and I do a lot of the back-end code.
Now, maybe you ran out of time, but I didn't hear how you're going to do it.
How we are going to market, or how are we going to?
Tell me, how does your solution work? Because you articulated the problem, but I was still like waiting for the punchline as to how it's going to happen, and maybe
Okay.
you didn't get to it.
So,
maybe I didn't understand.
all right. So it's essentially 2 networks. So one, we use something like LinkedIn for our professional networking, right? If we have worked together, we use LinkedIn. If you have a social friend, we use Facebook. But if you have used a great contractor, a great piano tutor, or anyone who's of trustworthy relationship provider, we don't have a place for them in our current social structure. And as a mom, I know I have had our piano teacher coming and ask, do you have any friends who you can refer me to? And most of the time, I would never hire anyone without asking my friend. I call them up and ask them. So it's essentially like a small LinkedIn for provider and client, where all you have to do is connect and say, yes, we are in this relationship. And so you would use, if I am your friend and I've used a chiropractor for 5 years, you'll probably trust that much more than a Yelp review. So just knowing that there is a connection of this relationship, and that we've been using it for like so many years, is enough review in our mind. So that's the first part. And the second part is we use your existing Google Plus or Facebook or whatever network that you have to do, do any of my first level connections use this provider? No? Okay. Do any of my friends' friends use this provider? So we essentially tie in 2 different networks. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
So you alluded to the challenge of recruiting customers or customer acquisition in the end. It sounds like you're targeting the small end of small medium business, the SMB range. Traditionally been very hard to acquire those customers in a cost-effective, profitable margin kind of way. How are you planning to solve that issue?
So our model, if we've been looking at a lot of different models, we have multiple approaches. We are thinking about a freemium model where the base is a model, which is this whole network model, visibility model that's going to be always free. And then we offer more platform services, maybe a scheduling. We've already talked to a scheduling partner. We are in the process of integration that we can provide our providers. So that becomes an client engagement platform for the providers. So there's little risk for the providers to join. We've in fact talked in multiple meetings such as these. We've talked to every single provider I've talked to said, when can I sign up? Because there's really no risk for them to do that. We are exploring the consumer side. We're doing an alpha testing to see what we extensively use posting on Facebook to, what kind of, what would motivate someone to come in and click on that link to actually come in and do that. So we are, with the help of our viral marketing expert, we are going through a phase of different testings to see what would make the consumer come in.
So, and that was going to be my next question is, and do you have any market feedback from that? Because I personally don't, you haven't articulated the value proposition to me as the consumer, especially when you don't have critical mass yet of providers.
Well, yes, so so there are two parts to it, right? If my tennis coach, for example, and I'm using all this tennis coach and piano teacher because I'm a mom and so that's my use case, right? But it could be your hairstylist, a massage therapist, or whoever. If that person invites me and says, do all your scheduling through here, so I buy a package of 10 different, 10 package of 10, and then I've used 3, I can easily, I can just look at there and know how much of it I have used, all the payments are recorded, all the history, the appointment is reminded. It's like having my address book of providers on there, and I can not only look at my providers, I can look at my friends' providers. I do understand the point that you need critical mass, but just having the client engagement platform and just engaging with your provider is also a value add for the consumer.
Okay, good. I think.
Isn't this Angie's List?
No, Angie's List is anonymous reviews. Nobody writes reviews here. There's no typing of a review. It's going to be, I only see my friends, I can see third party, but it's going to be mentioned as third party. I can say I only want to see my friends' providers in this area.
That was actually my question. I didn't want to jump in though because we're going to run out of time here. So I'm going to ask you guys to flash your cards. See, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. Okay, so we have 3 passes. Morali, why don't we start with you? Why are you passing?
I didn't hear a value proposition. I understand what you're trying to do, but I think your biggest problem is to do it for yourself. I don't see how you'll get customers.
Steve?
I had 2 issues. One, you could tell from my question, I don't get how you're going to do customer acquisition in a way that you're going to be able to monetize well enough. And the other is I also don't get the value proposition for the consumer to get the flywheel spinning in the first place.
I get the value proposition because I've heard exactly the same definition in a couple of social events that I've gone to where somebody described it exactly like that. Hey, who's your gardener? Do you like him? And can I call that person? So I've heard that, and especially when people move to a new place and they're asking for these things. So I get the value proposition. I think the challenge is just a segment that you're going after and monetizing that segment. That is so hard. So hard. There aren't that many people who have succeeded. Yelp clearly has succeeded, but they have raised a lot of capital as well. So I think that's the issue. So I don't have any issues with your value proposition, but I just don't know how you build an organization, a company, and monetize it. That's the part that I don't have a good idea.
Great. Rita, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Steve, would you hold the next name, please? That's right. See if I go to her this time. Okay, Anand, are you ready?
Yep, I am. Hello everyone, my name is Anand Kale and I'm the founder of Absent. My background is in enterprise applications. I'm so as the vice president of enterprise applications at Fujitsu. The reason we founded Absent is because we think there's a need to provide solutions around mobile solutions for enterprises. Now I know there's a nascent market, there's a lot of potential. But what we really think is that what enterprises are looking for are really easy to use applications for their employees, for their customers, for their partners. They really want to do their business transactions, they want to share, they want to collaborate. What on the other side, what IT is looking for within these companies is how we are going to integrate with our backend systems, how we're going to make sure that this data is secure, how we're going to distribute, how we're going to update. So when we think about it, what are the options out there for these companies? They really have a few things they can do. they can go out and buy those vendor applications, vendor-provided applications. They can develop point solutions themselves. They can go to a MEP software provider like Sybase or Cyclo, and then they buy some MDM solutions so that they can govern and distribute. But all these options are really, really expensive. So what we think is that we need to provide a solution that's really easy to use, and our solution can do that. We want to have them distribute the enterprise applications, develop the enterprise applications which are really easy to use, do it rapidly and very cost effectively. In fact, 8 times less cheaper than what they would do by spending on these Cyclos and Sybases of the world. So in a summary, what we do is we provide a solution for enterprises to quickly and rapidly provide mobile applications for their individual employees by providing an enterprise app store to distribute the applications. We're providing a management console so that they can govern the applications, make sure it goes on the right devices, and it's updated.
Questions?
So, say that once again, are you doing an app store or are you doing some professional services to do this?
No. So we have, what we are providing, we have a solution. So in the solution, we have a couple of modules. One module is an app store, so that within the enterprise, you can distribute the apps based on your role in the company to your employees or to your customers. Then you have a console which you can disable or enable apps on a specific device. You can see the history, you can see the audit, and so on and so forth. But we don't enforce any framework on it. You could develop your apps in whatever you want, HTML5 or native, but we plug in our APIs within those apps so that the APIs can control everything on that app. And then we let you integrate with your backend, it may be SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, Active Directory, and so on.
So in the end, are you participating in the mobile app development tool set market? I'm trying to understand what market do you put yourself into?
Yeah.
Is it a tool or is it a management?
Yeah. So it's kind of a hybrid. So the mobile enterprise application players, like which I mentioned, Sybase, are those the most common ones which we have seen in the market. But those guys provide the entire set. They also provide the framework. So they let you develop the app within their IDEs and within the write once and deploy platform. We don't do that. We think that the framework itself are so evolving so rapidly that we don't want to keep pace with them. We want the customer to use whatever framework they want. So we are going apart from that. At the same time, we think that the MDM is a very heavy solution. It's a very capital intensive solution for something which is not really proven its ROI in an enterprise. So for an enterprise which wants to provide mobile applications, there should be a use case where they can say that I can invest a small amount of money and see whether it's really going to be useful, improve the productivity of my employees or benefit my customers. And so in order to do that, if they have to invest a lot of money in MDMs, I think it's an overkill. So we have provided a solution which lets you develop these applications, at the same time govern it in the way that you can still manage them, update them, ensure the security of your data.
So I have a two-part question. I understand, I feel like you're giving IT some power to control mobile apps and things that people are downloading by themselves, sort of an out-of-control environment, which, sad to say, I really like the out-of-control environment. But how do you make money? I don't see the monetization.
Yeah, so the way we have, it's basically what you buy is the platform, right? You buy the solution. That's how we get your store, enterprise store, your console, all those APIs that we need, right? But what we think is that customers really want to see the end result, the apps, right? So we want to start off with providing those apps, and then when they want to develop their own apps for their own specific custom use, that's the time they will license the solution from us. And the way we would go to these customers is through either system integrators or by providing applications which the business would want to use for sales or for field service and so on.
I must say I'm slightly confused. Mobile apps are given by, say, Android Marketplace or App Store and
Yeah.
Apple or whatever. The revenue model is controlled by the provider of the app in that case. So the IT department in a particular company, is it paying for the app right away on a certain number of licenses and then it rations it out and somebody accesses it? I'm confused about that.
Yeah, so there are two use cases to it. So the apps are developed by us because we think there are some generic apps which can be used by every company. apps like for sales where they can see the order statuses and say put something on SharePoint or publish something to Chatter. We are building kind of composite apps which we think enterprises will like, where we license them on per user basis or a subscription basis. But what we really see is where a value comes in is because enterprises want to develop their own apps. They want to get packaged apps. They want to develop their apps for their specific needs. At that point of time is when our our solution has to be licensed so that we get revenue from the license fees, and if they want on a subscription basis, on a subscription fees.
We have time for one more question.
One more question. So are you competing, I think somehow I'm not getting the focus. Are you competing with Salesforce.com to develop their app? Or are you competing to develop some sort of packaged apps in your company to give to your employees, which is some bundle of publicly available apps? I really don't get it.
It's not really competing with Salesforce or anyone. So a simple use case is one app that we have developed is for our sales guys, for the sales guys of a company, where they would want to see information from their SAP system. They would want to see their product collateral from their SharePoint system. They would want to update their opportunity in the Salesforce.com system. So instead of going through an app clutter, which they would normally have, going through 3 different things, we provided one app which can do all the things at the same time within one app. So that's a way of developing an app. Now, what we see is that enterprises will always want to modify these things. Any IT shop works that way. They want to modify things, they want to customize it. These vendor-supplied apps cannot be done easily and cheaply, while what we have provided them is allow them to do whatever they want or develop new things.
Great. So you guys ready to flash a card here? All right, let's see. We've got 2 email me's and 1 no thanks. Vinu?
In fact, this is an area that I've spent the last 3 months looking into it. And I think, going back to Murali's comments, I think you need to have better clarity on what is it that you're doing, because it comes across as you're an ISV developing applications and you're doing the framework or the enterprise app store, and then you're getting other apps or whatever and wrapping them up. So I think you need to figure out first what you want to do as opposed to doing the multiple things that you're talking about. Because there are companies like App Central, Operion, Partnerpedia that do pretty much most of what you actually do. So you didn't mention those. So this is an area where enterprises are looking for a solution, given that consumers have gotten so used to downloading applications and they want to bring similar functionality to the enterprise. So it is an important area, but that said, I think you need to clearly figure out what your role is going to be in that environment, rather than taking a very big piece of what you think you are trying to do.
Steve, you also had an email me.
And the reason it wasn't a no thanks is this is actually a fairly hot area, and it's hot enough that Vinu's spending 3 months looking at it.
It just means I'm dumb. It will be 3 months.
But I had the same reaction, which is there's a lot of point products that solve different areas that you were talking about. So if you're offering a solution that's really hitting some sweet spot of pain in the market, you probably need to do 2 things. One, talk about a use case where all those point solutions didn't work for a particular company, and say why what there is that why your solution is defensible in that situation. And we didn't really hear any of that.
And really, you were the one holdout here on the panel.
Yeah, I think I said what I was thinking. I couldn't quite get exactly what your value proposition is. I think if you said you're making IT department's life easier, I'd buy it. If you said you're competing with these companies, then I'd really worry, because you're going to start brand new and you're going to get established. Selling to enterprises used to be hard. Now it's near impossible. So I don't like the idea.
Great, thank you. Anand, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kinderlime, Akash Bansal.
Hi, my name is Akash Bansal and I'm the co-founder of Kinderlime. Kinderlime is a social place for parents and childcare. It's a place where childcare providers can get to their parents, stream photos and videos to people who have separation anxiety when they're leaving their children in childcare. It's an extremely useful service for parents where they're trying to discover childcare, where they're worried about the safety of their children. We are a team of 3. I am a system architect, and I've designed complex systems before, one of those being the Xbox peripheral interfaces. My co-founder has developed Amazon apps at Amazon for virtual reality, and my other co-founder is an extremely good salesperson. He has brought up childcare centers from the ground up. We have about 1,000 parents using the apps daily, and we have 5 centers in the Bay Area piloting the program. We also solve a lot of operational needs of the childcare centers, where ratios is an extremely important aspect of this. The ratios, if they are not meeting the California licensing standards, these centers can be shut down. So we have all these operational apps, all through the use of a mobile device, where parents can check in the